Hello, welcome to the 6th day of May, 2022. I'm Kurt, and this is my Good Life meditation. Something that I do every morning to get ready for my day and to see how I did yesterday, and to think about and then plan to apply my life objectives and principles. I'm off to a rough start this morning. The dogs got me frustrated. I said I work over there during the day, and then the dog, or dogs, both of them sometimes, hang out up here with me. Usually, always, Ollie. Rudy does. He sits over there. But Ollie, the other dog, the black dog, he likes to sit right below this table here. Sometimes he gets himself behind my chair here. A lot of times he does that. And when he does that, I've got this light that's above my head right here, situated just so that it has the right illumination. And he moves around back there, and he moves it all around. And sometimes he knocks it over, and the whole thing falls over. And I don't want to deprive him of his little comfy, cozy place back there. But at the same time, I need to figure out a way, because he keeps messing with the light. And, lighting it's tough to get lighting just right. Anyway, I was just now finished, fiddling with it all. I can't reach it. So I'm leaning over the chair and see this pole thing and trying to adjust the pole and get it all positioned just right. And it wasn't happening. Things were getting stuck and falling over, and I kind of got flustered. I'm off to a flustered start this morning. So how did I do? Let's begin with how did I do yesterday? Off to a flustered start at the start of a 3-day weekend for me. Silly me. See, it'll never end. I keep telling myself that when I retire, then I'll have some peace. Maybe some. There's definitely quantifiable differences that you can do. I'm certainly at more peace now in my current life circumstance than I was a year ago. A year ago I was doing literally 120 mile one-way commute, to work, living in Airbnbs, working in a job that I probably wasn't the right suit for me. And now I'm working from home, living from home, of course, working in a job that suits me much better. Also, I was able to close, no pun intended, chapters on my books. I got my writing in pretty much a settled space, except for this one. I got to finish. Good Life still needs some work, so I took it off the shelves. So yeah, circumstance can bring more peace. But I expect never truly. That's what death is for. No wonder they say, rest in peace. So, how did I do? Did I earn a circle today? Yesterday, on my death calendar, getting ready to apply to my death calendar. Let's see. I did my journal yesterday. I did my video, and I read a lot yesterday. I read 10 pages I finished volume 2, 500 pages almost, of the life of Samuel Johnson, and then I probably read 15 pages of the Norton Anthology of American Literature. So yeah, I earned myself a little circle. Just 2 more and I get another one. By the way, that thing up there, that Memento Mori death calendar, is quite disconcerting. I can't believe how quickly the weeks are ticking by since I started literally counting them. It works. I wonder if it'll maintain. I wonder if I'll continue to have that sense of momentum. And it's frightening, because I know I won't make it to 90, right? So it's like tick, tick, tick. Okay, so how did I do yesterday otherwise? Last night. Yesterday was a hard day, but not hard in a visceral way. What does that mean, a visceral way? Visceral way is where that's like, it's a suffering day. That's what I mean by it. Maybe visceral is not the right word. And again, as I always say, suffering is a relative thing. I'm a very privileged person living in a very fine life. But see, even there, you can suffer. And suffering at this point in my life is more relative. It's not relative to the difficulty of my work, which isn't that hard. I mean, it's hard, but it's not that hard. It's related to that I'm wearing down, mostly up here. Yeah, so yesterday was a pretty hard day. Not the worst. Had a nice evening. Had a good walk. Only the one dog wanted to go. Oh, he refused to go. I guess it was too warm for him. It wasn't that hot. And then, where did he go? Well, there he is. And then I had a really nice meal. But Yumiko and I, we finished our show together. So we started a new show, something called Ozark, #1 in America right now on Netflix. We didn't like it, too violent. So that kind of soiled things a little bit. Yumiko, talk about visceral. She has a visceral reaction to violence. She doesn't like it. And I could see that she wasn't like it, so we turned it off, and I did the dishes, and I went to bed, tired. And I slept all right. I only woke up a little bit in the middle of the night. So yeah, an okay day. Well, it was a fine day in terms of pushing forward with my duties and on my obligations. Fulfilling my responsibilities, providing for my family. Okay, let's begin the good life. My 7 objectives are to always be ready to die, to have my life in a settled state, so as much as possible. My affairs, my relationships, and my life's work. Number 2 is to make good and effective use of my time. To be deliberate in my activities, genuine in my work, and sincere in my relationships. Number 3 is to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. To not let the days just flow away, like my death calendar suggests. Well, it suggests the rate of flow. I'm just gobsmacked at how fast how effective it is. And I gave one to Chris, Emily's boyfriend. I had actually bought and had 2 of these assembled, a big one and a small one. And Chris had asked about it, and he said he wanted to get one, so I gave him the one I had, which was already mounted in frame. So it's funny because he'll have only 20 dots. Or 20 lines. Next is to cultivate good emotional reactions. I talked about that, right? To develop and maintain, yeah. To cultivate good emotional reactions, to react well. Then to perform good actions. And then to recognize my true limits and my true opportunities. And then to do just one thing at a time, and to do that thing slowly. Now my 30 principles are the principle of war, to fight against what I think is true and what others suggest is that I should think is true, because I don't want to hold on to things that are not true. 2, is the principle of reason, and the sub-principles of honesty, objectivity, and doubt, which is how I approach my examination of the world. Then comes the homunculus, the suggestion that if I do not have a soul, at least I have a little consciousness for a while. And then the Anchorhold, the idea that that consciousness is trapped inside me and can never really connect with or relate fully to anyone else, because each of us is trapped. And then the home of good and evil, right and wrong, good and evil, are propositions and ideas that we hold within us that are based on subjective values. There aren't absolutes of right and wrong that we align to. We make up those ideas. And then principle of purpose. My purpose, my three purpose are to be a good husband and father, a virtuous human being, where virtue is the improvement of well-being, particularly for thinking creatures, and then my mission, which is the promotion of the good life. What do you hear? Do you hear something? And I better speed up. You might need to go. Atomic principle, everything is made of bits and pieces, and these pieces tend to fall apart. The pirate ride, the principle of nature, everything has some particular nature. I think he has to go. I better go let him out. Okay. Open the door and let the dogs out. I let the dogs out. Addressing the question of who. Okay, I talked about the principle of nature. Everything has a particular nature, including you and me, the dogs. It's the nature of the dogs to have to go out, and since they can't talk to us, they give us subtle clues. And then the pirate ride, the idea that free will is an illusion. But no, I just talked about that one. There we go. Did I? Yeah, well, I think so. Yeah, I don't think we're free. I don't think we're bound either. But I do think we're constrained. We're guided isn't quite the word. It sounds like there's agency behind that. It's more like constrained is the right word. We're constrained by the pressures of the universe, just like a stream is constrained. That's a good way to think about it, I think. A stream in its course, every stream has its unique course. A stream doesn't think its way through. It doesn't decide to make a bend here or a twist there. It's constrained by the geology around it. That's how we are. We are like a stream, like a winding stream, unique, apparently unique and individual, but constrained. I like that. I like the way that works out. Constrained like a stream. That's how I impress it, because the universe has so much to say about our every choice. We don't make any choices in any sort of vacuum without the influence of everything happening around us. Then comes maturity and the sub-principles of wisdom and fortitude. We are mature when we wisely remember our success, when we deliberately recall to the best of our ability accurately our past successes and failures and attempt to apply these to better living. Then comes the social principle. We humans need one another. And then the principle of public speaking, to use few words, carefully chosen words and deliberate words. public speaking. And then after public speaking comes the horror show. No, Temperance. I'm a little mixed up this morning. Temperance is our controlled consumption of life and the sub-principles of suffering, simplicity, and apathy. Because we suffer a little bit when we deny ourselves what we want. And a temperate life is a simple life. And apathy is the ability to see something that's beyond our control and to not become emotionally engaged with it. At least in terms of responsibility. We can if it's causing some suffering, we can be engaged to relieve the suffering, but we won't own the thing. Yes, like that. Next comes a horror show. Life is an absolute, terrifyingly, horrifyingly, stupefyingly scary place. But yet, I try not to live in fear, but I try not to deny the things that are worthy of the fear. And then the next principle is called that which must be borne. That is the stuff that we have to carry, the responsibilities in our life, the consequences of our decisions, and the reality of the horror show. And then the Feast of Offal. It's all what happens when we get upset and let that upset into the world. And we upset and soil others. And they do the same to us when they get upset. And I try not to engage in that. One, I try not to burst it out. And when others are doing that, I try not to suck it up. And not be like a voyeur. Feel better? Good boy. Rudy went out too. Good boy. And I worry about Ollie. I think he's getting old. Next comes I already talked about Temperance, didn't I? And then the horror show, and then the Feast of Offal. Oh, and then two, I think. Distraction and agency in the great indifference. We distract ourselves we spend our lives distracting ourselves. And it's probably the main thing that we do. It's not the purpose, it's not the thing we do because we necessarily, it's not like an occupation, but it's a necessary thing if we're going to take all of this seriously. It's necessary if we're not going to, succumb to nihilism. We distract ourselves with our school and our families and our homes and our sports and our TV and God, the concept of God and religion and all the trappings of all that stuff, politics, all of that. It's all just a big distraction, so that we take this stuff seriously and we can imagine a greater superstructure of agency behind all of this that's got a plan and looking after us and will provide for us after we're dead. But to go deep, to go alone into the universe is to reveal a universe not like that at all. An empty place where there's the wind and the cold starry nights and no one who cares and no one who's running things. An empty theater where we are huddled in one corner together, and the cinema of entropy just plays out around us. So those are two principles, distraction and agency in the great indifference. Makes up a good part of our life. Now comes the best seat in the house, to not want to be anyone else, or be anywhere else, or be doing anything else, but to be okay here, now, and who, all the while striving for a better self, a better circumstance, and better activities. Yeah, I am striving for that for sure. I want to make better use of my time. So far, the very best thing that I found to do with my time, now that my daughter is grown, besides spending time with my wife, is reading. Next comes the Path of Wildness. It's easy to find. The course of a stream. But it's not easy to say. The Path of Wildness. It's easy to find. The course of a stream. Leaves blown in the wind. A beast's track through the brush. And the direction of our first inclination. It's a way to move. It's a way to get unstuck by collecting facts, deciding, and going. And if we don't have enough facts to make a good decision, then to listen to our gut and remember that our gut can be wrong and be ready to accept those consequences. Next comes the risk of avoiding risk, the deep level and the shallow risk of life. The deep risk is finding ourselves. The shallow stuff is school, job, family, home, security. It's good to attend to both. I recommend taking care of the finding ourselves stuff early in life, in the decades of the 20s, optimally right after finishing college. That's 5 or 6 years of our own to see the world, explore, do what you want to do. Don't even send postcards. Just go. And then come back, suntan, long hair, bruised, bloodied, maybe a little limping, broke, maybe in debt, with a degree of yours in your back pocket, and ready to start your life. You'll be glad you did. You'll be glad you had your adventure early, before the trials of life set in, before the difficulties of a mortgage and the tedium of a job and the challenges of raising children. It's not easy. And then, wow, when the lights begin to flicker in old age, and you realize that your time is up, or nearly up, won't you be glad that you have that memory and that centerpiece of your life, and something to share, and something to say, and something to write about, maybe even a story to write. This is the risk of avoiding risk. Putting that off, saying that I'll wait and I'll do that after I retire, is a vain gamble. Good luck with that one, because it won't be you anymore. It'll be an old man or an old woman who's grown old and narrow in thought, even if broader in experience, typically narrower in thought, and most frighteningly timid and afraid. So much to lose. You can't weather the big gamble in your 60s. You can't weather it. A cruise ship will be your route, the safe and sane. A golf resort adventure. Maybe you can go to Jamaica, go to the safe side of the island, stay away from Kingston. Go to one of those resorts where you're sheltered from the outside. But you'll know that it was a sheltered experience. You'll know that the more deep and visceral experience was outside your pale now. Enjoy that buffet, the good food. Maybe you'll even get to sit with the captain. And you'll see a lovely sunset, the same sunset as anyone else's, but it'll be a different one when you've only got a decade left, versus viewing a sunset from the seeming early road of the mid-20s, when all of life is before you, and you're watching a sunset from a beach that nobody's really ever heard of, in some part of somewhere where maybe nobody ever goes, but you've been there. That's the risk of avoiding risk. It's not for everybody, but I have a feeling it's for everybody. The next principle is sin and damnation. There are 7 sins in my worldview. They relate to being untrue, believing things that are untrue, or gossiping. I call them falsity, credulity, faith, superstition, dogma, authority, and gossip. Stick away from those things. Complete oblivion is next. When we're dead, there's no coming back. There's nowhere else to go. The homunculus is sealed inside, and it will wink out as soon as the blood pressure drops to a sufficient level. And after enough time, without any oxygen, that's the end of that. There's a dark, not even dark, dark is too light. There's an absolute end awaiting us all, which is so absolute that it's impossible to even quantify. It's a nothing beyond nothing. We will never see our loved ones again. We'll never see grandma. We'll never see our parents. We'll never see our siblings or our children. We will be winked out. So will they. We'll never have a chance to reconcile any differences that we engaged or experienced with them. And we'll never have a chance to see justice served, nor will we have any awareness that justice was not served, and nor will it matter. Because we will be as empty as the midnight between the stars. Darker still, for nothing. We'll be lost what we are. That's complete oblivion. That's what's coming for you and me. Very, very soon. I mean, it could be tomorrow. It will be tomorrow. Even if it's not tomorrow. My damn death clock is reminding me of that now. I ain't waiting around. I ain't gonna mutter and stumble anymore. So I say. Now the Great Life Adventure is next. That's one or more showcase events. Showcase because it's the type of thing we put up on the shelf. I was saying earlier about the mid-20s after college is done, after you have your degree. Well, don't take the degree in your pocket. Take it home to your parents and say, hold this for me. I'm going to be gone for 5 years. Hold this for me. You probably won't hear from me. Hold this for me. I'll need it when I get back. And then that's what you do. Then you go off to the Great Life Adventure. It's the way to assuage the risk of avoiding risk. I'm telling you, if you are all inclined, just do it. Lose everything in the process. Come back at age 30 with nothing but what you've collected between your ears and that degree that your parents are holding on to, and then to begin to build from there. I think you'll find whatever you build in their life after that will have a richness and a depth and a satisfaction that avoids the hollowness. Life becomes sound. You knock against it, and there's something, it doesn't echo behind. And you can thank those 5 years that you spent from 25, 26 to 30, 31, something like that. There's plenty of time. Maybe. Now comes the season of philosophy, a time to record what we've learned, or what we think, or what inspires us, what comes later. My simple caution is that when the words come, be prepared to write them down in the moment, because they have a way of flitting away. They don't come back. The muse, the muse will not repeat herself for us. Next comes the bullseye aim. Striving for the bullseye mark, but usually missing. It's just a reminder that you're not going to get everything right. It's going to be off by a bit or a lot or altogether. You swing to throw the knife sometimes. You have to hit the bullseye or the dart, and it flies off the back of the. Oh, sorry! Ouch! That's the bullseye aim. Every now and then, how does it go? Sometimes it does that, but not often. Don't expect it, but try for it. Life is a game of darts. I like that one. How silly. Okay, now there comes the uphill climb. Life is a climb up the hill. Just don't stop. Don't dig in. If you feel yourself starting to dig into the ground, then it's time to hit the reset button, maybe. And take the kids with you. They'll thank you later. And then, don't leave the kids behind. Never, never, never. Unless they're grown-ups, then you can leave them behind. You are raised. You're on your own. You're doing it. I'm going off for another adventure. That's just fine. You can't do that until they're grown. That's your responsibility. It's our responsibility. That's why I say do it early, right? Do it before you have kids. Then you won't be because life's going to get hard, man. You got that job. It's going to be tough. You got that mortgage. You got to pay that thing, or rent, or whatever it is, and the groceries and gas is expensive, and all that stuff, and it's your spouse and you're getting by, and it's not the young romance that it once was, and you got to press forward, right? And if you've already had the great life adventure, you can weather that much better. If you haven't, then that's going to be awfully tempting. You can say, wow, wouldn't it be great to just drop all of this, go get milk, tell the family I'm going to get milk, and wind up in Bali, right? That'll be interesting for a little while, but that's a great maybe I should somehow add that to the sins thing. It's not one of the 7 sins that I have right now, but it's not living a responsible life, and you will pay the price for that. An awful price that'll be one day. Okay, and then that was, how did I get there from uphill climb? Then arena and utility. Life is an arena for the development of our principles and to help us with our objectives and the application of these. And then arena and utility. And then nothing is enough. Reminder that less is better. And then finally, the principle of fun. A reminder to have a good time. And the sub-principles of hope and retrospect. Looking forward and enjoying the sweet, delicious anticipation, and then looking back, enjoying the sweet, delicious memory. Both of those are stripped of the messiness of the here and now. So, because sometimes the here and now isn't, you go out for ice cream and, they don't have Rocky Road. They're always got lots of Rocky Road when you're hoping for it, right? You get the idea. Okay, how about for today? Well, today I've got Today's day off. I'll check my email just to make sure if anything's going on. But I'll do this, and then I'll read my Bible. I've already done my journal entry. I'll read my Bible. I'm at Exodus. Isaiah. I think I'm like at 33 now. Still lots of wrath going on. Then I'll upload this. I'll feed the dogs. I'll feed myself, and then I'm taking my daughter's car to get it smog checked today, and then I'll go to the AAA to do the registration thingy today. Oh, I'll talk to them about her AAA account. Oh, I got it'll work out good. Then I'm going to reach out to a friend and see if he's available today for lunch. I'll send him a message this morning. He might be up. And I'm going to carry my book with me and have lots of good reading today. Starting volume 3, the third and final volume in the life of Samuel Johnson. What a great, I feel like I've been spending the last 2 months just in the company of one of the great men of literary history. Wow, it's been great. What a great series. What a great book. 3 volumes, so it sounds like books, but it's really a single book. Now I know why it is considered the greatest English language biography ever written, even though it's 250 years old. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Time to start the day. I wish you the best. Be safe, but not too safe. Bye-bye.